Okay, this is the Park Committee for Wednesday, December 13th, 2017, beginning at approximately 4:30 p.m. We have present Alderman John Vanderleest, Alderman Andy Nicholson, Alderman Chris Weary, and myself, Alderman Dave Nennick. First item is approval of the minutes of our last meeting, October 25th.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Nicholson, seconded by Alderman Vanderleest to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections?
I don't have any.
No?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Nicholson, seconded by Alderman Weary to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. First item is consideration with possible action on the report by city staff summarizing what recommendations have been implemented or not implemented in the Green Bay, Wisconsin Comprehensive Waterfront Plan of 1995. Just to refresh everybody's memory, at our last meeting on October 25th, we were given a report which went through all 14 study areas in the original plan. And it identified as best we could things that have been implemented or not implemented, and some of them are in progress right now. Is there anything else to add, Dan?
No, like Alderman Amy said, we were directed to draft a report. We handed it out at the last committee. And then at the time, the committee wanted a chance to review the report in order to make a recommendation, and so we were asked to bring it back to the next park committee, which is this one, and that's why it's on the agenda now. So the question is, would you like to do anything with the report or receive and place the report on file?
Okay, what are the wishes of the committee? Any discussion? I don't know if you remember reading that thing, but
Vaguely.
I thought they did a pretty good job going through each action item that was recommended. And, well, in some cases, there were reasons why things were not implemented or not fully implemented. There are some things that are in progress. So, I guess it kind of refreshes our memory of what's in the plan. But to my knowledge, this was originally, I think, discussed at the Mayor's Beautification Committee, and then Alderman Zimmer brought the request to our committee. But to my knowledge, no one has brought any changes forth for us to consider at this point.
What are you looking for, Mr. Chairman?
So I would say let's receive this.
Motion to
place it
receive and place
file.
on file, and that's what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Alderman Nicholson, seconded by Alderman Weary to receive and place on file the report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, second item is consideration of possible action on the research of historic documentation of what was placed in the 9/11 memorial and cost estimates for the repair. Alderman Weary and I were in a couple of meetings to talk about this, and there was Bart Jack, who had attended one of our meetings, had a thick box full of documents, and Dan took some time to review all those documents and has a report for us.
Yeah, so
Okay.
at the September 27th Park Committee, we were directed to research the documents to see what was embedded in the concrete, and then also generate a cost estimate for the repairs to the memorial. So as Alderman Nenning stated, I did meet with Barb Jack, and we went through all of her project information, and she was willing to share everything that she had. She did state at the beginning, though, that there was really no information available that would state what was embedded in the memorial, and that was to protect the privacy of the people who placed the items. She did also mention that the individual that had the bulk of the historic information was deceased, and she was not able to access his information. So there may be additional information out there that we're not aware of. After our review of all of her paperwork, we did find out that there was indeed no personal information as to the contents of what was embedded in the monument. But there was an email within the donor group correspondence that stated the donor group was planning on placing the following within the canister. So they were going to put a cross, some other religious items, names and pictures of the 3 committee members, a copy of the WTC 9/11 charter, and some other documents, which they didn't state what those were. There was also an email indicating that they were going to send out a second email asking other individuals to place personal items. But that second email was not printed in the file, so we have no idea who they sent it to, and we have no idea if anybody responded to that request. We do have no reason to doubt Mrs. Jack, that there are items placed in there. It was just staff, as a staff, we don't have any information available to us. Alderman Weary did just hand me a letter that he received, and I haven't had a chance to read this. This is from the Diocese of Pittsburgh, stating that they were going to place some items in the canister also. I believe that's what it says, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to read it. So this was just provided to us. So you can read it. Yeah, you can read it if you would.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or you want me to? Sure.
Sure.
I'll read it. Dear Mrs. Jack, thank you for contacting me and for your concerns about the blessed items in the 9/11 memorial. I remember George Ecker and his dedication to that memorial, and I will remember his soul in my prayers. It was very distressing to learn of the plans to dismantle the 9/11 memorial. What I remember clearly is that I donated a rosary blessed by Pope John Paul II, who is now Pope Saint Paul II. It is likely that Pope St. John Paul also blessed other religious items that I donated, but I no longer recall what they were. The blessing of such items is not recorded. If you have not already done so, you may want to contact the Compass Diocesan newspaper to see if it ran a story on the religious items in the memorial. Whenever I visit Rome, I bring back many small items blessed by our Holy Father. I do so because I know the great comfort that they bring to recipients. I am both glad and humbled that they have comforted the families of those who died on 9/11 and those who have died since in our nation's military response to terrorism. My hope is that such memorials always stand as a reminder of the terrible price of violence and as a call to reconciliation among all people. I will be in prayer for you and for all the people of Green Bay, and I ask your prayers for me as well. Grateful for our belief that nothing is impossible with God. I am your brother in Christ. Signed, David A. Zubek. He's the Bishop of Pittsburgh. So we have that on file now. That was not available to me when I researched her
And
documentation.
he was the bishop at the time.
Yeah.
So now he's.
Correct. So we were able to also find documentation from Mayor Bloomberg's office, which approved the donation of the steel, but there was no contract found which stated the terms of the donation. The only documentation found was an email stating that the following terms had to be met to even consider the request for the steel. It needed to be mounted or displayed in a suitable manner and always treated with proper decorum, never given away, never sold, never melted down or changed in any way, and the memento must be displayed in an area open to the public at no charge. Again, this was not an actual contract document. This was an email saying that these terms needed to be met in order to even be considered to get the steel. We couldn't find any, the group mentioned at one point that there was a signed maintenance agreement that the city signed, committing that this memorial would remain in place for a specified number of years. There was nothing, no documented signed document in her files stating that, so we couldn't find any information on that. In 2009, the donor group hired an engineering firm to create design details to repair the granite to ensure that if the memorial was repaired, the granite wouldn't crack again. Staff, we met with 2 local memorial companies and requested a budget estimate to repair the memorial, replacing all of the granite, etching it with the same design that it currently has. So basically, make it look identical to what it is now. We asked for their estimate to reflect the new installation details so that it doesn't crack again. One company estimated $100,000 for the repairs, and the second company estimated $70,000. So the average between the two is $85,000. Keep in mind that this is just a budgetary estimate, it wasn't a formal quote. the design were to be changed, the monument could likely be repaired for a lot cheaper. But the cost would depend on what the approved design is. We could have less engraving and use other materials other than granite to surround the concrete. If the city council wishes to go that route, we would recommend that we work jointly with the Public Arts Commission to develop a new design set to whatever target budget the city council deems appropriate. So we don't have a local artist on the park staff, and I don't think we could do the design justice. We would have to get somebody more knowledgeable involved if we're going to change the design of it. The other option is to begin a fundraising campaign to pay for some of these. You have to look for somebody who'd be willing to take on that fundraising task. Mrs. Jack did say previously that she'd be willing to assist with that, but nobody has formally asked her to undergo that responsibility. So at this point, I'll answer any questions that anyone might have.
I think there's also an individual that Alderman Weary and I met with who was a firefighter from New York who also indicated a willingness to help raise funds. Right?
Correct, yes.
I don't remember his name.
Joe.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last name.
Okay, any discussion or questions? Chris, I think you brought it forward.
Well, sure, thank you.
What do you decide?
Thanks, Dan, for the good report. I don't know, is that
Sure.
something that everybody could get, a copy of the report, or was that in their minutes?
Well, there really is no formal report.
Okay.
It's just the description of what I just mentioned. So it'll all be written in the minutes.
Okay, perfect. I know you were there for almost a whole day, I think, going through that box, right?
She had a lot of paperwork, yeah.
That's unfortunate. I mean, she was the secretary or treasurer.
Mhm.
We didn't have access to the actual president's,
Yeah.
trove of information, but she had a lot. I did talk to her today, and she, did give the okay for this letter to be released. She was initially concerned about it, but I think it helps show some of the items that are in there. She said she'd be willing to help fundraise. Bernie Erickson from the county is willing to help fundraise, and I would as well. So if that's an option, I think we can raise this in a decent amount of time and have it ready for next September, no matter which way we go. Be curious to see what everybody thinks about it.
What are your feelings about the design, to leave it the way it is, or to have fewer names engraved, or?
Well, and I did talk to Barb about that. Her initial feeling is to leave it as is, obviously make corrections to a few
Mhm.
names and flights and things like that. So I would initially support that, to keep it like it is, and if the community wants to fundraise and donate towards that, then it really wouldn't cost the city anything except time.
Mhm. Okay, other discussion? I think we've learned a lot through this process. We originally didn't know about all the things that were in there, and it's unfortunate that a lot of that wasn't documented at the time. But I think Dan has gotten the information here as best he could, and I don't think we're going to get anything more than that. We searched all the files, and so I do think that just like we did with Culver and Pool, Chris, if we do approve some fundraising, we probably should set a deadline on it and get reports, and so we know what we're dealing with.
Definitely.
We'll make a motion.
Okay. Is there any input from anybody in the audience? No? Okay. Okay, motion?
Well,
Chris?
the motion would be to approve repairing the existing 9/11 memorial using donated funds. And we can pick an end date, I guess. Dan, how long would it take to repair it, to actually do the work?
Well, to do the work would just take 1 to 2 months would be my guess. They'd have to recreate the artwork, do some research on it, order the granite and re-etch it. So I would guess probably 2 months of lead time after the funding is in place.
Okay, so if funds were raised, let's say, by July next year, then that would give us a couple of months to have it completed by September 11th, 2018.
Sure.
That-
July
that's-
1st deadline?
Does that sound reasonable?
I think so.
Could try it.
Yeah, I think so. I think the July 1st deadline would be appropriate. So I would include that as part of the motion.
Okay. Is the second okay with that?
Second?
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, well, then we'll take a motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so let's give it a shot, and, if there are any updates, keep us posted, 'cause
Definitely, I would anticipate the group, whoever is going to be the head of it, would come back and do regular updates on where the funding is, so.
yeah, maybe the first thing is schedule a meeting with the people that you mentioned and see how we could, get
Yeah,
a fund drive off.
I see no reason why if we can't raise $1 million for a pool, we can't raise $100,000 for a 9/11 memorial. I think that's very doable. So,
Okay. Okay, let's see how she goes. Okay. Third item, consideration with possible action on accepting 2 DNR stewardship grant awards for the construction of the East River Trail. Dan,
Sure.
that yours?
Yeah, so last May, the Park Committee approved us submitting a DNR stewardship grant application to construct a portion of the East River Trail. In 2016, the city bonded $275,000 for this project, and the DNR grant is a 50% split. So the city requested an additional $275,000 in grant funding using our funding as a match. The DNR is in the process of awarding the full $275,000 to the city. The funding would be broken up into 2 different grants. So the Stewardship Recreational Trails Program would fund $35,800, and the Stewardship Urban Rivers Grant would fund the remaining $239,200. Per the city policy, the Park Committee and City Council are required to formally accept the grant awards in order for staff to go ahead and sign the contract. Keep in mind that it's not 100% finalized with the DNR yet, but they're very close to the final approval. So it just has, I believe, one more committee to go through. They were okay with us moving forward with getting our approvals. So what I'm looking for is just a motion to approve accepting the 2 DNR stewardship grants totaling $275,000 to construct the East River Trail.
Motion to approve. Second?
A motion by Alderman Vanderlee, seconded by Alderman Nicholson to approve accepting the 2 DNR stewardship grants. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, consideration of possible action on the 2018 Bay Beach projects. Dan?
So last year, the Park Committee approved the following Bay Beach development projects for 2017. One was East End bathrooms. We were going to complete the replacement of flooring, lighting, and fixtures. The second project was westbound train. So this was installing a new miniature train ride behind the Zip and Pippin. The third project was 2 new train passenger cars, which were going to be donated by the Friends of Bay Beach. Fourth project was a new concessions building with a shaded seating plaza, and this would replace the concession stand over by the bumper cars and Ferris wheel. And the fifth project was an ice cream fudge shop, which was to be located in the unused space in the existing train depot. The completion of all of these projects were dependent upon available funding in the Bay Beach Development Account. Several of these projects are already completed or currently under construction. So I'll give you an update on where we sit with those projects. So one half of the east bathroom renovation was completed last winter, and this winter we'll complete the other half. The 2 new passenger train cars have already been purchased, and they will be delivered later this winter and in use next year. The westbound train line is currently under construction, and that will be open sometime early next summer. And the projects that still remain to be completed are the new concession building with the shaded seating plaza and the ice cream fudge shop. There's currently not enough funding in the Bay Beach Development Account to complete these 2 projects. We did already hire an architect to complete the architectural bid documents for these buildings. And the project is nearly ready to be bid out, so it'll be ready in the next week or two to go out to bid. So if weather cooperates, construction could start as early as maybe March 1st and be open by the end of May to the public, which would be great. So our operation budget is the 214 fund, and in order to complete the construction of the concession stand and ice cream fudge shop, the council would need to transfer $700,000 from the Bay Beach 214 operation fund to the 436 Bay Beach Capital Improvement Development Fund to pay for the projects. So we have enough money in the Bay Beach account, it's just transferring it from one account to the other. So we're looking for a motion to transfer $700,000 from one account to the other one to complete the 2018 projects at Bay Beach Amusement.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Nicholson, second by Alderman Weary to approve the transfer of $700,000 from
Bay Beach 214 Operations Fund to the Bay Beach 436 Capital Improvements Development Fund.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, last item is Director's Report, and I think everybody knows we now have two co-directors, or interim co-directors, James Anderson and Dan Deschette. And they're dividing the responsibilities of the parking between them. Could we hear from each of you? That's
Yeah.
what you
If I
do.
could, Alderman,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, obviously it's under sad circumstances, but
Yes.
congratulations to both of you. I mean, we're in good hands. Both
Thank you.
are good guys, so. Thank you.
Yeah, so just a quick update, I'll give you a brief history of myself. So I've been with the city for 17 years. Started out as a senior landscape architect with the city, promoted to design and development superintendent, I believe, in 2007. So I've been here a while. Prior to this, I worked in Chicago area for a few years at a large landscape architecture firm doing municipal park design and commercial design. So I'm excited for the opportunity. James?
Yeah, I came to Green Bay in 2005, worked for the Boys and Girls Club in Green Bay for 3.5 years. Became the recreation supervisor for the city in 2008 and was promoted. Donnie became director. I became recreation superintendent, and also excited about the opportunity and to work with everybody and keep things moving in the right direction.
Quick
Which,
question whenever you're done, gentlemen.
Go ahead, John.
I was gonna ask you, who actually handles all the personnel then?
Well, we're gonna split up the duties for the position, and we'll be working with Joe in the Human Resources Department to put a memo out to all of the aldermen so that they know who to contact. But basically, how we're gonna split this up is there's 8 different divisions within the Parks Department. We're gonna split up the divisions, so I'll take half of the divisions. James would take the other half, and we would each deal with all aspects that come forward with those specific divisions. And then we'll split up the other duties accordingly, so.
Forestry is part of that then as well?
Yep, so
Okay.
Forestry, Parks, Bay Beach, Triangle Hill,
Recreation,
Recreation.
aquatics,
There's a
Big
lot.
agenda. Big
administrative,
agenda.
administrative too.
Well, we appreciate your stepping forward to do that, as I know that it's giving you additional responsibilities in addition to your normal jobs. So, I know it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I feel very comfortable with handling it this way. I think we've both had a lot of experience with what we've done, and I know it's an unfortunate situation that we have, but I do appreciate both of you stepping forward on it. And any way that our committee can help, don't hesitate. We need to run things by us, or what have you.
And they both love pools.
Exactly.
That's most important.
Yeah, and on something like that, I don't know if Dan will continue to handle the project stuff with pools and James
So, yeah, well,
operation of them, or how you're gonna do it?
we will each continue to do the jobs that we're currently doing, and then we'll just split up the duties of the director. So,
I will point out, I mean, Dan and I pretty much, I mean, we meet daily right now. We are touching base on almost all things just to make sure we're both covered. So I think you can feel comfortable coming to either of us for any, and we'll also coordinate back and forth if we need to. But like Dan pointed out, we're gonna meet with Joe. By the end of the week, we should have a memo out, kind of giving you guys a little more guidelines on just kind of what areas we're covering, so we're not duplicating.
So if we get no from one, go to the other.
Something like that. No, I think if you keep us informed of how you're splitting the
Yep.
responsibilities so that council members know, that'd be great.
I will make a quick note, if you don't mind. Just our entire staff really stepped up during this time too. I mean, it was a really a good testament to the team we had in our department, and everybody stepped up and helped out.
Yeah, we do have a great staff there, and I'm sure that everyone will be cooperative in carrying on the duties. The Personnel Committee last evening did approve a recruitment to fill the position. And so I think in January, it'll probably go forward, and we'll see how that goes. We'll keep the committee members informed, and I presume the written report we've got is a compilation of both of your efforts.
correct, yeah.
And I did look at that video for that Discover Wisconsin had, and if people haven't, excuse me, if people haven't looked at that, it's really a well-done video about our Fit in the Parks program and the Parks RX program. Very well done, James. That was the spokesman.
We were considering showing that at the next park committee, to let you see it if you haven't watched it yourself,
I
so.
think that's an excellent idea, because then it would also be people watching that.
Yeah, definitely.
As far as winter park programs are concerned, is there any information you want to share with us?
I just have a few things that I want to just touch bases on. So obviously the snow removal equipment is now being ready, and it's just in time for the snow today, so we'll see how it all works out. We did hire an elevator consultant to write the specifications and renovations to replace the elevators. As you know, that was funded last year. For this season, all the stump removals were completed. About 750 stumps were removed. And then we did a lot of fall tree planting along the streets and within the parkways. We did have several construction projects that were underway this fall. The Fox River Trail replacement, Beaver Dam ball fields, and Perkins tennis courts, those are all underway. They were nearly completed, but each of them needs a little bit of work in the spring to finish up. We did have a grand opening for the new Whitney Park Dog Exercise Area on November 16th, 2000, and it was really successful. We probably had 20 dogs there at the opening, and you know, every time I drive past there, it's being used, so I think that that'll be a hit. So we are under construction for the new West End train ride, as I mentioned, so if you want to go out there and take a look at it, it's really coming along nicely.
Does it go under the Zip and Pippin?
It'll go behind the Zip and Pippin,
Okay.
and it'll actually go through the Zip and Pippin and around it. So we built an opening in the Zip and Pippin because we knew that we wanted to do that from day one. So it'll be a nice new experience that isn't available right now. So the adult basketball league started on November 1st, and the season will run through the end of February, and we do have 28 teams participating. The youth basketball leagues ended on November 20th, and there were 42 participants in this program, and it was pretty successful. And planning is underway for the second annual Frenzy on the Fox event, which is scheduled for Friday, January 12th. This event is a 5K run, a 10K bike along the Fox River Trail. So it was pretty well attended last year. We're hoping this year to beat the attendance. There was a Halloween event on October 21st. Held at the Wildlife Sanctuary outside the waterfalls for the Web of Life Trail, and it was really a successful event too. And then just to kind of talk about the recreation division, they were just awarded the Wisconsin Park and Rec 2017 Silver Star Award for Outstanding Special Event for the Haunted Chase Race, which was held out at Bay Beach this year. So it was very well attended. So that concludes my director's report.
Okay, James, do you have anything you want to add?
No, well said.
When do we think the skating and Triangle Hill will be?
Well, Triangle Hill, Jason's here, he can talk to that. Obviously, it depends how much snow we get today and what happens with the compaction and it blowing off the hill. So we'll have a better idea in the morning where we sit with that. Hopefully it'll be open, but do you have any?
We're planning on opening tomorrow. It just as long as it doesn't all blow off tonight, we'll be good. We got the staff ready to go, we got the hill ready to go, so.
I just had someone at work ask me that today. This
Oh, yeah.
is snowing. Said, does that mean tomorrow we can go sledding?
That's the plan.
So,
Yeah.
how late is it open usually?
It's open until 8 o'clock.
Okay, same on weekends, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and I see we're making some improvements at Triangle Hill as well, in the shelter there. Yeah, that'll all help.
But, I mean, in terms of the ice rinks, so due to we had a pretty mild fall.
Mr. Chairman, I have to go to another meeting.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
we actually, we won't start really getting water on those ice rinks until probably Tuesday next week. Because until the ground is frozen,
Yeah.
and really, otherwise it just sinks in and actually causes more problems and take longer for us to build them ice rinks. So cross-country ski trails though, and those type of things, as soon as we get this snow down, I think those should start being made, and we should get some winter recreation out there, so.
Any questions?
Colburn, bids are still, everything's on track?
Colburn, the consultant, just gave us the 85% complete plan set. Today I gave them city comments on that. So they're still trying to get the plans completed by the end of the year. So that is still the target date.
Get it all early in the year.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, anything else? Now we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman.
Can we get a motion for the director?
Oh,
Move to receive, place on file.
we have a motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vandelis to receive and place on file the director's reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now a motion by Alderman Weary, seconded by Alderman Vandelis to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We stand adjourned.
Thank you,
Oh,
guys.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
County, County Board,
The last one.
6 o'clock? or-
Andy